Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the prosecution will open its case on February 2 in seeking to prove that Julian Silvera murdered his wife, Melissa.
But the media may not be there as Chief Justice enforces provisions of Gun Court Act.
Soldier charged following seizure of 28 firearms.
Bert Samuel says the explanation that procurement is preventing the police from acquiring body-worn cameras has lost credibility.
The protocol surrounding, why we can't get the body cameras, it has become now a fiasco and a joke.
And in news just in, the police say they now have 1,000 new body-worn cameras.
In news from the rest of the world, Cuba's president says no talks with the U.S. following Trump's threats.
Former U.S. Fed chairs condemn criminal investigation of Jerome Powell.
In sports, a Jamaican has been appointed to lead the West Indies in a 3-match T20 international series against Afghanistan.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, members of the media were barred from entering the courtroom on Monday for the murder trial of former West St. Mary MP Julian Silvera. This is in keeping with provisions of the Gun Court Act. Our reporter Robian Williams was there.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should the government mandate the use of arm and leg guards by motorcyclists? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, approximately 87% of schools reopened last Monday for face-to-face classes. Acting Chief Education Officer Terry Ann Thomas Gale will join us.
At 7, Tehran says it's keeping communications open with the U.S. as President Donald Trump weighed responses to a deadly crackdown on nationwide protests in Iran. U.S. national security and foreign policy expert Asha Castleberry Hernandez will join us.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile Nationwide 90 FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, January 12, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The high-profile murder trial of former Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Julian Silvera, has been postponed to February 2. The matter was originally scheduled to start today, Monday, in the Gun Court in Kingston. But the start was postponed following an application by the defense for an independent examination of key ballistic evidence. When the high-profile trial is called up on February 2, the media may be absent from the courtroom. Robian Williams tells us why.
The Julian Silvera murder trial is attracting a lot of public attention. It's a rare occasion where a former lawmaker has been charged with the most serious of crimes, murder, and the murder of his wife, no less. But the media may not be able to satisfy the public's interest in the matter. Why? While journalists are being barred from the trial, members of the media were barred from entering the courtroom on Monday in keeping with provisions of the Gun Court Act. Section 13 of the 1974 law established that proceedings in the gun court are closed to the public and the media. Prior to the hearing, journalists were advised by the Court Administration Division CAD that media access would be permitted. But when the matter was called, Chief Justice Brian Sykes informed journalists that in accordance with the Act, they would not be allowed to enter. Justice Sykes added that any change to access for gun court matters would have to be addressed by lawmakers. Julian Silvera is charged with the murder of his wife, Melissa Silvera. The former Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary is also charged with using a firearm to commit a felony. Mrs. Silvera was found dead at the couple's home in Stony Hill, St. Andrew on November 10, 2023. Initial reports suggested that the 42-year-old died in her sleep from natural causes, but a subsequent autopsy revealed that she died of gunshot wounds. Silvera was arrested and charged in January 2024 and has remained in custody since then. He served one term as a parliamentarian after winning the Western St. Mary's seat for the People's National Party in the 2011 general elections. Silvera is being represented by King's Counsel Peter Champagny and Attorney-at-Law Patrice Riley. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the high-profile trial of the Tesha faction of the St. Catherine-based Klansman gang is now also set to start on February 2. The new trial date was set in the Supreme Court today. The trial was originally slated to begin last Wednesday, but was delayed due to outstanding DNA and forensic evidence. The Crown had suggested a date in June for the trial to get underway. But Justice Dale Palmer declared the suggestion untenable given the significant time and resources already invested in the case. 25 accused, including the alleged gang leader Tesha Miller, are before the court charged under the anti-gang legislation. They are accused of being a part of a criminal organization and allegedly participating in a range of serious criminal activities in St. Catherine. The charges include murder, conspiracy to murder, attempted murder, robbery with aggravation, illegal possession of a firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition.
A Jamaica Defense Force JDF soldier has been charged in relation to the seizure of 28 firearms at the Kingston Logistics Center. Detectives assigned to the Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division, FNID, made the revelation in a statement on Monday. Mahiri Stewart reports.
The seizure is one of the largest gun finds at the port to date. The massive seizure occurred on December 19 last year. More than 6,000 rounds of ammunition were also seized. The police say their investigations led them to a 36-year-old soldier, Dean Lawrence, who hails from Dublin Castle and Kintyre in St. Andrew. The probe led the lawmen to premises in Whitewater Meadows, Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Monday, January 5. The police say on their arrival at the premises at about 5:30 p.m., Lawrence fled on foot, abandoning a Honda shuttle motor car which was subsequently seized. According to the police, Lawrence surrendered the following day. Detectives say during a search of Lawrence's vehicle on January 7, a 9mm round of ammunition was found in the glove compartment. He has since been charged with conspiracy to traffic prohibited weapons and unauthorized possession of ammunition. Director of FNID, Superintendent Patrice Rowe, says investigations may lead to further arrests in relation to the gun seizure.
This seizure of 28 firearms represents a major success in our fight against gun trafficking of firearms, and this investigation that we launched post that operation led to the arrest and charge of a member of the JDF who remains in our custody. And the investigation continues. We are hoping to lay additional charges based on where the investigation leads us, and we are also hoping to make additional arrests. The investigation is progressing, and we are hoping to make additional arrests in collaboration with our local and international partners.
Superintendent Rowe says over 20 firearms have been seized by the JCF since the start of the year.
The FNID have contributed to gun seizures since the start of the year. The JCF in general have had a number of seizures. Over 26 firearms since the start of this year, and FNID has contributed to that. Our investigations are continuing around those seizures, and we are hoping to make additional arrests. We will release information in due course.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force, Senator Apka Fitz-Henley, is welcoming news of the major gun and ammunition seizure. Senator Fitz-Henley is also criticizing the opposition PMP and its spokesman on national security, Fitz Jackson, for not presenting a balanced perspective of the dangers facing the security forces.
All well-thinking Jamaicans should welcome news of the seizure by the JCF of 28 illegal guns and approximately 6,000 bullets, which criminals attempted to import into the island. The developments show that the security forces are willing to go after anyone, regardless of their station, who attempt to bring dangerous weapons into this country. The seizure places into context the imbalanced nature of some of the commentary in the public domain, including from the opposition spokesman on National Security Fitzjackson.
Senator Fitzhenley says Mr. Jackson's response to more than 400 fewer Jamaicans being murdered last year compared to the previous year has been unfortunate.
I heard a lot of shouting from Fitz, but it was very unfortunate that we have not heard in the public domain so far a properly articulated word of congratulation from Fitzjackson to the security forces on the major 31-year low reduction in murders last year. We can all agree that on the matter of fatal police shootings, there should be accountability, but make no bones about it. There are people who are willing to import 6,000 bullets into Jamaica. I think Fitz and his surrogates should be a bit more balanced in the commentary they offer.
Senator Apka Fitzhenley.
Retired Defense Attorney Bert Samuels has joined opposition spokesman on national security Fitz Jackson in rejecting the explanation, blaming procurement for the failure to acquire body-worn cameras for the police. Mr. Samuels says the explanation has lost credibility. He was speaking on JFJ-produced show Let's Talk Justice on Monday. Shalois Michael reports. Speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Friday, Fitz Jackson rejected the argument that the procurement process was complicating the police's ability to acquire body-worn cameras. Bert Samuels agrees. He says the entire matter has become a fiasco.
The protocol surrounding, why we can't get the body cameras, it has become now a fiasco and a joke. There's that excuse being given is no longer credible. So part of the reform is bring the cameras like tomorrow, not on Thursday or Wednesday, tomorrow.
The matter of body-worn cameras has again come to the fore following an uptick in fatal police shootings since the start of the year. It follows a particularly bloody 2025 for police confrontations. According to the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, 311 people were killed by the security forces last year. This compares to 189 in 2024. A further 17 were recorded in the first 8 days of the new year. That figure has already surpassed last year's review period. 7 people were killed by the police over the corresponding period last year. The daily increases have reignited calls for police body-worn cameras, especially during planned operations. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake told Nationwide News in September 2025 that following what he described as a tedious procurement process, a contract had been executed for 1,000 body-worn cameras. But in a subsequent interview last week, Senior Communications Strategist SSP Dennis Brooks says the matter was one for the Security Ministry to address. Samuels says body cameras is the strongest defense against questionable police confrontations.
As I understand it, the use of force for apprehension can't be that you're aiming at the torso or the head. So there are so many factors that come into play, and there is also the issue of the police feeling that they have to face the brunt of criminality, and those of us who are asking for accountability are being insensitive to their difficult task. But I disagree with that. I think that, for example, body cameras, when they are to be used, will protect the police and give credibility to their accounts as to when they come on the power.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
And in news just in, the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF says it has now received 1,000 body-worn cameras which were in an advanced state of procurement during the final quarter of last year. The JCF provided the update in a media release a short while ago. In September 2025, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake advised the country that the force was in the final stages of the acquisition. It says the Axon Body Camera 3 devices are now at an advanced state of deployment with particular focus on formations of the force that experience high levels of citizen engagement. It says deployment is being guided by operational need, training readiness, and established governance protocols. The JCF adds that a further 1,000 body-worn cameras is now in train with the intention of completing acquisition and deployment during the next financial year. The force says the acquisition and active deployment of the body-worn cameras firmly institutionalizes accountability for both the police and the public, and will have the JCF's full statement posted online. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
See twice the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is
27 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay. Continuing the news, Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, Commander Alvin Gale, says in responding to the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa, the government is also taking into account the need for earthquake resilience.
Cliff, so our systems remain active. If there should be a shake, we'll be able to respond just as effectively we would be able to in the onset of Hurricane Melissa. We are aware that persons are still in the western portion, which are significantly affected. There are programs which will come on stream very shortly. We can already see when we have been able to engage the Jamaica Defence Force and other military teams in starting to replace roofs out in the western parishes. So there is some significant effort underway by the government, but it will also aid in our resilience should we get a shake now.
January 11 to 17 is recognized as ODPEM's annual Earthquake Awareness Week. Commander Gale says his prior worry about the restoration of utilities following an earthquake was soothed based on the government's response to Melissa.
We have seen some significant improvements in the way the reactions or the bringing back of those online post-Hurricane Melissa. Those would have given me the most significant angst. My fears have significantly reduced just based on how we've been able to bring back and get to a part level. Because if you look at any specific utility, whether it be water, power, or communications, those will significantly hamper any recovery effort.
That's Commander Alvin Gale. He's the Director General of ODPEM. He was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Monday.
Meanwhile, Public Education Officer at the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Superintendent Emilio Ebanks, says the brigade is adequately equipped to respond to an earthquake.
All the fire stations in Jamaica now have trained search and rescue individuals. We have search and rescue equipment that are matching first world standards, because when you're buying fire trucks, I don't know if persons understand, but when you're buying fire trucks are not bought like a car on a lot. You have to order the fire truck specifications. So we order our fire trucks to the specifications to match our general needs in Jamaica. So in terms of equipment and training, we are trained and ready. Of course, we don't want anything to happen though.
Superintendent Ebanks further explained that the brigade's fire trucks are also equipped to respond to emergencies.
They must come outfitted with search and rescue equipment, search and rescue lights, and the search and rescue equipments are very varied, depending on the type of search and rescue. So we stock the unit for urban search and rescue as well as some amount of wildlife search and rescue, because you have to remember that out there in the open spaces, you can have, God forbid, a plane crash where we still have to effect search and rescue.
That's Superintendent Emilio Ebanks, Public Education Officer at the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
World in a Minute is brought to you by Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel says his administration is not in talks with the U.S. government. His comment come a day after President Donald Trump threatened the Caribbean island in the wake of the U.S. attack on Venezuela. Diaz-Canel posted a flurry of brief statements on X after Trump suggested that Cuba make a deal before it's too late. Trump did not say what kind of deal. Diaz-Canel wrote that for relations between the two countries to progress, they must be based on international law rather than hostility threats and economic coercion. On Sunday, Trump wrote that Cuba would no longer live off oil and money from Venezuela. Cuba was receiving an estimated 35,000 barrels a day from Venezuela before the U.S. attacked.
In the United States now, 3 former heads of the central bank on Monday strongly criticized a criminal investigation into Chairman Jerome Powell, describing it as a bid to undermine the Federal Reserve's independence. In a statement, Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke, and Alan Greenspan, along with 10 other former officials, rallied behind Powell. The officials say the probe is how monetary policy is made in emerging markets with weak institutions. The move by the Department of Justice comes after a year of relentless attacks on Powell by U.S. President Donald Trump. As well as criticizing Powell's decisions on interest rates, Trump has launched personal attacks, calling the Fed chair, quote, a major loser. Powell says the investigation stemmed from Trump's anger that the Fed had not brought interest rates down more quickly, but Trump says he was unaware of the probe.
World in a Minute was brought to you by Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the prosecution will open its case on February 2 in seeking to prove that Julian Silvera murdered his wife Melissa.
But the media may not be there as Chief Justice enforces provisions of Gun Court Act.
Soldier charged following seizure of more than 20 firearms.
The police say they now have 1,000 new body-worn cameras in hand.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? GeoLand Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. GeoLand Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
Yo, check this out. This is Ding Dong Ravers, one of your patrons for the Sagicor Sigma Run 2026. And this year, we are bringing out the best as we run, walk, and wheel for the West.
Hi, this is Lisa Hanno, and I'm proud to be a patron for this run in aid of funds to repair and rebuild schools damaged by Hurricane Melissa.
Hey, Public Civil here. I spent my whole life trying to break records, but this record is going to be special.
We're aiming to raise a record $150 million for children in the West.
Well, everybody come jump up, lace up, wheel up, donate some money, everybody sign up. We are run for the West.
Sign up now at SagicorSigmaRun.com.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with news on cricket. Jamaica's Brandon King has been named to lead a West Indies 16-man squad for a 3-match T20 international series against Afghanistan later this month in Dubai. King will lead the team in place of regular captain Shea Hope, who has made himself available due to commitments in the ongoing South Africa T20 competition. King had previously led the West Indies in T20 internationals, including the home series against South Africa in early 2024, and brings valuable leadership and experience to the assignment. In addition to Hope, the Test captain Ruston Chase, along with Akeal Hussain and Shafeen Rutherford, they will miss the series to play in the South Africa T20 as well, while Jason Holder, Rahman Powell, the Jamaican, and Romario Shepherd have been rested. Guyanese pacer Shamar Joseph and the Trinidad and Tobago opener Evan Lewis, they're back in the squad returning from injury. Breakout player of the Caribbean Premier League 2025, Quinton Sampson has earned his maiden international call-up. The series will serve as a crucial preparation ahead of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, scheduled to start on February 6 in India and Sri Lanka, with the final squad for the tournament expected to be announced ahead of the start of the T20 series. Another T20 series has 3 matches against South Africa, and that will be at the end of January. So right after the games against Afghanistan, the West Indies team will fly over to South Africa to complete their preparation for the T20 World Cup. The full squad is Brandon King, Alec Athanaze, Casey Carty, Johnson Charles, Matthew Ford, Justin Grieve, Amir Jungu, Shamar Joseph, Evan Lewis, Gudakesh Moti, Carrie Pierre, Quinton Sampson, Jaden Seals, Ramon Simmons, and there's also Shamar Springer and Shimron Hetma. The 3 matches will be played at the Dubai Cricket International Stadium in the UAE from January 19 to 20. Jamaica women will launch their 2026 T20 Blaze cricket campaign when they take on the Leeward Islands in the second game of a triple header at Arnesvale in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that will be on Tuesday. The Jamaicans will be seeking to improve in their second place finish from last year's tournament. The opening day of the regional women's T20 competition will begin with the defending champions Guyana taking on the Windward Islands in the opening game. The day will conclude with Trinidad and Tobago facing Barbados in the big game on the lights that is scheduled to get underway at 7:30. As was the case in last year's tournament, the T20 Blaze will be contested in a round-robin format, followed by the finals with all matches at the Arnesvale ground. As we mentioned, there'll be a triple header on each match day. Now, following the conclusion of the T20 Blaze, the attention will shift to the Super 50 tournament, and that will be staged across three venues: Sion Hill, Park Hill, and of course Cumberland. Each team will play each other 3 matches in the Super 50 competition, with the top-ranked team at the end of the round-robin phase being crowned champions. Tivoli Gardens are into the top 6 of the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League for the first time this season. A short time ago, they defeated the Spanish Town Police team by 1-0 at the Dunby Holden Complex over in Spanish Town. The winner came from a Lamar Davis own goal in the 91st minute. Tivoli, they've now gone to 22 points, and they're 3 clear of Chapelton Maroons in that battle for that crucial 6th spot. Spanish Town Police, they are rooted firmly to the foot of the table with 8 points. And the round will conclude with Arnett Gardens hosting a Harbourview in a big game at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex, and that's scheduled to get underway at 7:30 tonight. Liverpool are through to the 4th round of the English FA Cup. A short time ago, they defeated Barnsley by 4-1 at Anfield. Hungarian star Dominik Szoboszlai opened the scoring in the 9th minute with a superb long-range strike before Jeremy Frimpong added a second goal scorer. Szoboszlai gifted Barnsley a way back into the contest in bizarre fashion when he missed the ball with an attempted back heel inside his own box, allowing Adam Phillips to fire in from close range. But it took until the 84th minute for Liverpool to sort of go out of sight. They regained the 2-goal lead when the German international Florian Wirtz fired in before substitute. The French international Hugo Ekitike marked his return from injury with a goal to make it 4-1. The Reds take on fellow Premier League side Brighton and Hove Albion in the next round of the competition. Xabi Alonso has left his position as a Real Madrid manager after just 8 months in charge, with his former Liverpool teammate Alvaro Arbeloa taking over. Now, Madrid said the 44-year-old Alonso left by, quote, mutual consent. Sunday's Spanish Super League defeat to bitter rivals Barcelona was Alonso's last game in charge of the Lily Whites, who are also trailing the Catalan club by 4 points in La Liga. Former Spanish and Real Madrid left fullback Arbeloa has been promoted from coaching Real Madrid's B team. There are reports that Alonso argued with top striker Kylian Mbappe about tactics before Sunday's final. He had also a disagreement with President Florentino Perez on Monday before the decision to part ways was taken later in the day. Alonso, who spent 5 years with Real Madrid as a player, won the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen in 2024. In fact, it was an unbeaten Bundesliga campaign that saw him landing the title, and he replaced Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. Ancelotti having left to take up the national coaching job in Brazil. And finally, in sports at this time, after securing back-to-back Jockeys Championship in Jamaica's Mecca of Horse Racing, Caymanas Park, Sneaky Fox, Radish Roman, will be taking aim at securing a hat-trick of titles. In the 2024 season, Roman, he rode 133 winners and followed up that with a winning performance over 129 last season. And according to him, the second title was easier, just in comparison to when he won his maiden crown.
It was a free-flowing championship, so I did not really have any challenges here, so I just continue to just put in the work and just get the job done. Well, yes, throughout the season, I think I have a very good season, and I was on top of the game throughout from the second quarter to the last quarter, which is from March to December. Well, yes, but it's like that sometimes because it's horse racing and no one know what will happen out there before the race. So I did hoping to win in the Triple Crown, which I only win one leg and then.
That's reigning champion jock Radish Roman. And that will do it for sport. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, make it Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:31.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift that keeps on giving. Speed Queen washers and dryers from Singer. Speed Queen appliances are built to last, providing you with reliable performance and efficient cleaning season after season. And for a limited time only, receive free laundry basket and Woolite detergent with your Speed Queen purchase from Singer. This Christmas, get 6 months to pay the cash price, 12 months no interest, and up to 24 months credit. Visit Singer today and get the ultimate laundry solution. Merry Christmas from Singer.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honey Bee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezone blinddates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblinddates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
Good afternoon, Cliff. Good afternoon to the listeners. My name is Ricardo Brooks. How are you, Cliff?
Good. Well, let's get to the cover story. The high-profile murder trial of former Western St. Mary MP Jolyon Silvera has been postponed to February 2. The matter was originally scheduled to begin today, Monday, in the gun court in Kingston.
But the start was postponed following an application by the defense for an independent examination of key ballistic evidence. When the high-profile trial is called up on February 2, the media may be absent from the courtroom. Robin Williams tells us why.
The Jolyon Silvera murder trial is attracting a lot of public attention. It's a rare occasion where a former lawmaker has been charged with the most serious of crimes, murder, and the murder of his wife, no less. But the media may not be able to satisfy the public's interest in the matter. Why? While journalists are being barred from the trial, members of the media were barred from entering the courtroom on Monday in keeping with provisions of the Gun Court Act. Section 13 of the 1974 law established that proceedings in the gun court are closed to the public and the media. Prior to the hearing, journalists were advised by the Court Administration Division, CAD, that media access would be permitted. But when the matter was called, Chief Justice Brian Sykes informed journalists that in accordance with the Act, they would not be allowed to enter. Justice Sykes added that any change to access for gun court matters would have to be addressed by lawmakers. Jolyon Silvera is charged with the murder of his wife, Melissa Silvera. The former Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary is also charged with using a firearm to commit a felony. Mrs. Silvera was found dead at the couple's home in Stony Hill, St. Andrew on November 10, 2023. Initial reports suggested that the 42-year-old died in her sleep from natural causes, but a subsequent autopsy revealed that she died of gunshot wounds. Silvera was arrested and charged in January 2024 and has remained in custody since then. He served one term as a parliamentarian after winning the Western St. Mary seat for the People's National Party in the 2011 general elections. Silvera is being represented by King's Counsel Peter Champagny and Attorney-at-Law Patrice Riley. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Robian. And Robian joins us now in studio. Good afternoon, Roby.
Good afternoon, Cliff. Good afternoon to our viewers, our listeners, Ricardo.
Good afternoon. We also have Defense Attorney John Clark online. And just before we get to the guest, Cliff, perhaps we should read to the listeners specifically what Section 13 of the Gun Court Act says. It reads, in the interest of public safety or public order, no person shall be present at any sitting of the court except
A, members and officers of the court and any constable or other security personnel required by the court.
B, parties to the case before the court, their attorneys and witnesses giving or having given their evidence, and other persons directly concerned with the case.
C, if the accused is a child, his parents or guardians.
And D, such other persons as the court may specifically authorize to be present. Yeah.
So that is the key. And then it goes on to say any person who publishes any information in contravention of a direction under subsection 2 shall be guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction thereof in the court to a fine not exceeding $2,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months. And I snicker because not exceeding $2,000.
But 12 months.
But 12 months. This tells you a little bit about the age of this law. 51 years ago, 1974, at a time when gun crimes were running rampant in Jamaica, and it was felt because of the security situation in the country and the fear of witnesses being intimidated and frustrating the justice system, then they put this in the provision for the gun court law.
And the gun court was specifically set up by the Manley administration.
Yes, the Michael Manley administration.
Respond to the challenge.
And gun court, where the South Camp Rehabilitation Center is, was painted red. Red
Danger.
means dread.
Robian, in kicking out the journalists, what did the Chief Justice tell you?
Well, I want to tell you that before we got to kicking out, I want to tell you we sat at the courtroom, the entrance of the courtroom, for close to 2 hours because the matter, the court starts at 10 o'clock and up to around 12:30, Jolian Silvera was not yet before the judge. So we sat and we waited patiently. During that time there, we communicated with the CAD, the Court Administrations Division, and we were told that yes, the registrar is aware that we are to be allowed in when that matter is called up. We spoke to the registrar. He told us that whenever the matter is called up, he'll come for us. When he came for us and we went in, we sat at the front, in front of Justice Sykes, and then the matter was called up. After the matter was called up, Justice Sykes inquired, "Are these journalists before me?" And we answered yes. In that sense, he proceeded to say that this is an in-camera matter under the gun court law, and you know the law already, but he proceeded to recite the law for us and instructed us that we should check the website as it relates to media protocols. We already know all of this, but we were told prior that we could go in because, you know, it's a high-profile matter, and we've covered some instances where the matter was gun-related, but he went on to tell us that that is when the matter is indicted under the home circuit instead of the gun court. So we were able to cover those matters. He also said that we should possibly, the gun court access and access to the courtroom should be addressed by parliamentarians.
But section D, subsection D, such other persons as the court may specifically authorize to be present, would seem to give the judge some discretion.
Yes.
John Clark, is my reading wrong?
That's exactly how I interpret it. And also, you have to look at section 13.2, which also prescribes certain things that can be published. So if section 13.2 is to have its true intent, means that persons who may be in the business of publication, journalists, is contemplated by Parliament as being present, and the only way they could be present is by section 13.1d, and that section 13.2 indicates that the court can indicate what can be published. And in those circumstances, if one looks at 13.1, 2, and 3, the only intention of Parliament must have been that journalists will have a right, essentially, once the trial judge considers the relevant factors, to be present, but that their presence will be regulated by the trial judge telling them what can or can't be published. In fact, if one looks at 13.2b, it indicates that certain things can be published without the approval of the court.
And let me tell the listeners, 13.2b says no particulars of the trial other than the name of the accused, the offense charged, and the verdict and sentence shall be published without the prior approval of the court.
Indeed, and if I must add, Justice Sykes did say that at a later stage, to some extent, at a later stage, it can be decided on by the defense and Crown whether or not access will be granted or can be granted, but not at this stage.
Yeah, and John,
but he's dodging this based on what we have in front of us. 13(1) Section D. Such other persons as the court may specially authorize to be present. He has the discretion, the authority to say, given the public interest in this matter,
high public
interest, I am allowing the journalists to be here under certain conditions.
Right.
If, for example, children were involved, some other sensitive matter, he could and can exercise that discretion.
Yeah, and just before we go to the break, John, what would be some of the things that a judge would consider in exercising that discretion?
I just wanted to reply because to note that I don't think the court would consider exercising discretion under Section 13(1)(d) if the media houses or journalists have not applied to the court asking it to exercise discretion, because ultimately one would perceive that an application would be made. It would allow the Crown and also the defense to be heard by the court in relation to this particular application, and then the court can make an informed decision in terms of how it exercises discretion. That's just how natural justice works in our jurisprudence.
That sounds like a bit of legal advice. Maybe we should, through the Press Association or Nationwide, acting on alone, should make that application then, that request.
Is that what you're suggesting, John?
That's what I'm suggesting. And we'll go further to say that if that application is refused, the media houses would also have an opportunity to have this issue ventilated in the court. And once it is ventilated, I would also go further to say that perhaps Section 13 is unconstitutional and to be struck down to the extent in which it reverses the burden on the media, on behalf of the public, to establish a reason why they should be present when, under our new constitutional regime, the burden should be on persons who are prescribing rights to say why the rights should be prescribed.
I think we
may have
to retain you, John. John, we may have to retain you.
There are lawyers out there who can do it.
Yes, man, but you just earned yourself a retainer.
John Clark, Roby and Williams, thank you so much. We're up on the break. Thank you.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're switching gears now because the police are confirming this afternoon that they have received 1,000 body-worn cameras, which were in an advanced state of procurement during the final quarter of 2025. The JCF says that in 2025, in September last year, the police commissioner advised the country that the force was in the final stages of the acquisition, and it says it now has 1,000 Axon body camera 3 devices, and they are at an advanced stage of deployment with particular focus on formations of the force that experience high levels of citizen engagement. And it says deployment is being guided by operational need, training readiness, and established governance protocols.
The JCF also says another 1,000 body-worn cameras are now in train with the intention of completing acquisition and deployment during the next fiscal year. The JCF says the acquisition and active deployment of the cameras firmly institutionalize accountability for both the police and the public. Joining us to discuss further is the Force's Senior Communications Strategist, SSP Dennis Brooks. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Good
SSP.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Cliff. Good afternoon, Ricardo. And good afternoon to your listeners and viewers.
All right, so let me just understand. It says the Axon body camera 3 devices are now at an advanced stage of deployment with particular focus on formations of the force that experience high levels of citizen engagement. Does that include the planned operations, which seems to have been the problem everybody was having?
Well, I don't know who the everybody was.
Well,
but what I can say is that there's no formation of the force called planned operations, and there's no division of the force called planned operations. What I can say is that they have been deployed largely based on geographical demand, and so they've been deployed across the country, and within each division across the country we have 19 geographical divisions, plus we have non-geographical divisions like specialized operations, for example. And those formations of the force have operational demands that extend in various spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not merely just public safety, but for instance, you would imagine that that would be an area that would require it, and other aspects of the force.
So then the planned operations will still be a discretionary matter at the divisional level in terms of the commanders?
I would imagine so, because there is still the concept of divisional primacy, and whether it be for investigative or operational purposes. But of course, we have operational support teams that need body-worn cameras, and we have other operational teams that need body-worn cameras across the organization. And so naturally, it is within the remit of divisional commanders and other leaders within the organization to determine where those are necessary.
Is there a policy that has been drafted, Dennis, how body-worn cameras are to be deployed and used and maintained?
Yes, there is a body-worn cameras policy that exists, and that is the basis for instance, that governs the training and deployment of all body-worn cameras in the force. Now, within the context of that body-worn cameras policy, it outlines how they are to be used, how the content that is captured in the cameras is supposed to be preserved for evidentiary standards, etc., etc., etc. And so that is why when the body-worn cameras are procured, some of them go straight into utilization for training purposes, because you have to go through a process of being trained to train persons in body-worn cameras, and then thereafter being trained to utilize them.
Let me go to the key point that I think has been central to this issue. Those operations were driven by and inspired by the intelligence you're getting. So you're going for Hughes. Hughes lives in Parati, and he's a known violence producer by your intelligence. Yes? And you know where he is. He's going to be sleeping at lot 224 Street tonight. Yes? And you're going for him, and you know that he's a dangerous gunman. Yes? According to your policy, yes, in such an instance, the divisional commander should deploy body-worn cameras? Should or not? Does it say?
Well, that is a brilliant question for which I would not want this hypothetical use to hear the answer. I'm not going to have a conversation about the operational dictates and guidance that persons follow. But what I would say is, again, there are, as we have stated, approximately 8,000 operational persons within the force. The aim is to bring the utilization of body-worn cameras to those 8,000 persons. That happens as we acquire more and more body-worn cameras. We had somewhere in the region of 600 plus prior to the acquisition of these 1,000. We now have within the region of 1,600. And so those now are added to what we have available for a wide range of operational duties that are in high demand. And so what we will see now is, as we move to procure even more, as we said in the statement that we published, that we are moving to procure another 1,000 body-worn cameras in the near future, that our expectation is that we will now move in the mid-2000s, but that still requires, that still is a far cry off from the 8,000 that we need. And so we will always, for the foreseeable future, be seeking to apply those body-worn cameras as best as we can, where we can.
Dennis, I recall not long ago there was a technical discussion as to the types of cameras that were needed. The fact that some of them may have, for example, a light that may make the lawman identifiable in dark circumstances, and so those weren't ideal. Can you say whether the ones you have now acquired, these 1,000, would be suitable for the kind of operations Cliff outlined?
I'd rather not say. We carefully stated a name in the statement. For eagle-eyed journalists like yourself, you can do the research that you wish, but I'm not going to elaborate any further on the types of assets that we have at our disposal. I'm just not going to go there.
Fair. But if it remains a largely discretionary matter, isn't the furor, the criticism going to continue if a divisional commander can simply decide whether and to what extent they are deployed?
You mentioned a furor, and for me,
JFJ, Indicom, Lawyers Christian Fellowship, random people on social media in the comment section. You've seen it, Dennis.
I've seen it, and for me, this matter, in terms of how the JCF has communicated on this matter over the last 6-7 years, in my opinion, this is a rather non-controversial issue in terms of how we have been communicating, but there are persons who it is in line with their agenda for this to seem like a complicated or controversial issue. But it is not. We have made it clear, and we have updated as when we got 200, when we got 400, when we got 600 and 700. We provided updates. We gave explanations on why it was taking so long and what we had to do. We spoke to the billions of dollars that we have invested, and the fact that the body-worn cameras are a central plank of the modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. This is not a matter that the High Command sees as controversial. We have been very open, we have been very honest with it, but there are some people who would like for it to seem controversial, but it is not.
Yeah. Thank you, Senior Superintendent of the Police, Senior Communication Strategist, Dennis Brooks. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much.
Good.
I'm just saying, if it remains largely discretionary, I don't know that it solves the central problem.
And the key point he makes is...
But as an eagle-eyed journalist,
yes,
as SSP,
it means
we're going to have to go look
check
at
on
this,
the Axon Body Camera 3. And the key point he makes, they need what, 16,000?
Across, I think he said 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah.
8,000. And they're barely up to 1,000.
Right.
1/8. I think that's where the key thing is. When they get up to 8,000, then we can better hold them. Yeah?
Axon Body Camera 3. That's a device. The JCF now has 1,000 of them. Yeah? That's the cover story. The headlines are next.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is 6:00.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Norige Banton. The high-profile murder trial of former Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Jolyon Silvera, has been postponed to February 2. The matter was originally scheduled to start today, Monday, in the Gun Court in Kingston, but the start was postponed following an application by the defense for an independent examination of key ballistic evidence. When the high-profile trial is called up on February 2, the media may be absent from the courtroom. It's a rare occasion where a former lawmaker has been charged with the most serious of crimes, murder, and the murder of his wife, no less. But the media may not be able to satisfy the public's interest in the matter. Why? Well, journalists are being barred from the trial. Members of the media were barred from entering the courtroom on Monday in keeping with provisions of the Gun Court Act. Section 13 of the 1974 law established that proceedings in the gun court are closed to the public and the media. Prior to the hearing, journalists were advised by the Court Administration Division that media access would be permitted. But when the matter was called, Chief Justice Brian Sykes informed journalists that in accordance with the Act, they would not be allowed to enter. Justice Sykes added that any change to access for gun court matters would have to be addressed by lawmakers. Meanwhile, the high-profile trial of the Tesha faction of the St. Catherine-based Klansman gang is now set to start on February 2. The new trial date was set in the Supreme Court on Monday. The trial was originally slated to begin last Wednesday, but delayed due to outstanding DNA and forensic evidence. The Crown had suggested a date in June for the trial to get underway, but Justice Dale Palmer declared the suggestion untenable given the significant time and resources already invested in the case. 25 accused, including alleged gang leader Tesha Miller, are before the court charged under the anti-gang legislation. They are accused of being part of a criminal organization and allegedly participating in a range of serious criminal activities in St. Catherine. The charges include murder, conspiracy to murder, attempted murder, robbery with aggravation, illegal possession of firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. A Jamaica Defense Force JDF soldier has been charged in relation to the seizure of 28 firearms at the Kingston Logistics Center. Detectives assigned to the Firearms and Narcotics Division, FNID, made the revelation in a statement on Monday. The seizure is one of the largest gun finds at the port to date. The massive seizure occurred on December 19 last year. The police say their investigations led them to a 36-year-old soldier, Dean Lawrence, who hails from Dublin Castle, and Kintar in St. Andrew. The probe led the lawmen to premises in Whitewater Meadows, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, on Monday, January 5. The police say on their arrival at the premises at about 5:30 p.m., Lawrence fled on foot, abandoning a Honda shuttle motor car, which was subsequently seized. According to the police, Lawrence surrendered the following day. Detectives say during a search of Lawrence's vehicle on January 7, a 9mm round of ammunition was found in the glove compartment. He has since been charged with conspiracy to traffic prohibited weapons and unauthorized possession of ammunition. Director of FNID Superintendent Patrick Rowe says investigations may lead to further arrests in relation to the gun seizure.
This seizure of 28 firearms represents a major success in our fight against gun trafficking of firearms, and this investigation that we launched post that operation led to the arrest and charge of a member of the JDF who remains in our custody. And the investigation continues. We are hoping to lay additional charges based on where the investigation leads us, and we are also hoping to make additional arrests. The investigation is progressing, and we are hoping to make additional arrests in collaboration with our local and international partners.
Superintendent Patrick Rowe, Director of FNID. Meanwhile, Chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force, Senator Apka Fitz-Henley, is welcoming news of the major gun and ammunition seizure. Senator Fitz-Henley is also criticizing the opposition PNP and its spokesman on national security, Fitz Jackson, for not presenting a balanced perspective of the dangers facing the security forces.
All well-thinking Jamaicans should welcome news of the seizure by the JCF of 28 illegal guns and approximately 6,000 bullets, which criminals attempted to import into the island. The developments show that the security forces are willing to go after anyone, regardless of their station, who attempt to bring dangerous weapons into this country. The seizure places into context the imbalanced nature of some of the commentary in the public domain, including from the opposition spokesman on national security, Fitz Jackson.
Senator Fitz-Henley says Mr. Jackson's response to more than 400 fewer Jamaicans being murdered last year compared to the previous year has been unfortunate.
I heard a lot of shouting from Fitz, but it was very unfortunate that we have not heard in the public domain so far a properly articulated word of congratulation from Fitz Jackson to the security forces on the major 31-year low reduction in murders last year. We can all agree that on the matter of fatal police shootings, there should be accountability, but make no bones about it. There are people who are willing to import 6,000 bullets into Jamaica. I think Fitz and his surrogates should be a bit more balanced in the commentary they offer.
Senator Apka Fitz-Henley, Chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
We need a bigger office where we can see more clients. Sounds like ambition is calling and Access Financial Services is answering. The funds are waiting.
Boss, I just can't wait for one truck, you know.
I know. We need another truck. Sounds like you have a plan and Access Financial Services can help. Horizon, a new loan product from Access Financial Services designed for women entrepreneurs to unlock the capital you need to grow and take your business beyond limits with quick approval, flexible repayment, and low interest rates. Your success is on the horizon.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alwick Swiby. We both things off with some cricket as Jamaica's Brandon King has been named to lead the West Indies 16-man squad for a 3-match T20 series against Afghanistan later this month in Dubai. King will lead the team in place of regular captain Shai Hope, who was unavailable for selection due to commitments in the ongoing South Africa T20 tournament. Wayne Walker tells us more.
King had previously led the West Indies in T20 internationals, including the home series against South Africa in early 2024, and brings valuable leadership and experience to the assignment. In addition to Hope, the Test captain Roston Chase, along with Akeal Hasseen and Shafeen Rutherford, they will miss the series to play in the South Africa T20 as well, while Jason Holder, Rodman Powell, the Jamaican, and Romario Shepherd have been rested. Guyanese pacer Shamar Joseph and the Trinidad and Tobago opener Evan Lewis, they're back in the squad returning from injury. Breakout player of the Caribbean Premier League 2025, Quinton Sampson, has earned his maiden international call-up. The series will serve as a crucial preparation ahead of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, scheduled to start on February 6 in India and Sri Lanka, with the final squad for the tournament expected to be announced ahead of the start of the T20 series. Another T20 series has 3 matches against South Africa, and that will be at the end of January. The full squad is Brandon King, Alec Athanaze, Casey Carty, Johnson Charles, Matthew Ford, Justin Grieve, Amir Jungu, Shamar Joseph, Evan Lewis, Gudakesh Moti, Kari Pierre, Quinton Sampson, James Seals, Ramon Simmons, and there's also Shamar Springer and Shimran Hetma. The 3 matches will be played at the Dubai Cricket International Stadium in the UAE.
Thank you, Wayne. Now, Vice Captain of the West Indies Under-19 team, Jonathan Van Longe, has thrown his support behind the Caribbean side, expressing confidence that they have what it takes to lift the ICC Under-19 Youth World Cup title. The tournament will be held in Namibia and Zimbabwe from January 15 to February 6. It will bring together the world's top emerging cricketing nations. West Indies have been drawn in Group D alongside South Africa, Afghanistan and Tanzania. A group Van Longe believes will provide tough but valuable competition. The Caribbean side is scheduled to open its campaign against Tanzania in Windhoek on February 15, a match Van Longe says the team is approaching with focus and respect.
I think we could go all the way. We have a good bunch of men. It has been shown in the 2 previous series, the quality of players that we have. So I think we can go all the way. To win, you have to beat everyone. So I ain't looking forward to anything particular or anybody particular.
Van Longe, the Youth World Cup also represents a major personal milestone, as it will be his first appearance at the tournament.
Just looking forward to the challenge. This is my first 19 World Cup, my first, you could say, major tournament. So yeah, just looking forward to putting in some good performances for the team. Due to the weather in Guyana, there hasn't been much outdoor practice, but I've been utilizing the indoor nets with our pathway coaches. So again, just looking forward to the challenge. First, I would both bat and ball. I think a bit calm under pressure. That also brings something that the team could rely on.
Now, Jamaica women will launch their 2026 T20 Blaze cricket campaign when they face the Leeward Islands in the second match of a triple header at the Honest-Vale ground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Tuesday. The Jamaicans will be seeking to improve on their second place finish from last year. The opening day of the regional women's T20 competition will begin with defending champions Guyana taking on host Windward Islands in the first match. The day will conclude with Trinidad and Tobago facing Barbados in the final match on the lights. As was the case in last year's tournament, the T20 Blaze will be contested in a round-robin format, followed by the finals, with all matches at the Honest-Vale ground, which will have a triple header every day of competition. Following the conclusion of the T20 Blaze, attention will shift to the Super 50 tournament, which will be staged across 3 venues, Zion Hill, Park Hill and Cumberland. Each team will play 3 matches in the Super 50 competition, with the top-ranked team at the end of the round-robin phase being crowned champions. Now to golf, as president of the Jamaica Golf Association, Judy Monbaro has expressed high hopes for the local players who will represent the island at the 11th staging of the Latin American Amateur Golf Championships, which tees off on January 15 in Lima, Peru. Jamaica will be represented by Zandre Roy and O'Shea Hay in the 4-day tournament, which is expected to feature intense competition from across the region. Roy will be making his third appearance at the prestigious championships, having previously competed in 2024 and 2025, while he will be suiting up for Jamaica for the second time after debuting in 2024. Munborough believes that the experience gained from previous outings at this level will serve both golfers well as they prepare to take on the region's best amateurs.
I'm expecting some positive performances. Andre's in his third lap. O'Shea's in his second. O'Shea almost made the cut last year, so they have a little bit more experience. So I think we'll get some good performances from them.
The JGA president was quick to temper expectations, noting that the standard of play at this year's event will be extremely high. The championships will feature over 100 golfers from 28 countries, underscoring the depth and quality of the field.
It's very tough, it's very challenging. If you look at the list of countries playing, a lot of those countries have far more golfing opportunities than what we do in Jamaica. A lot of those countries have far more governmental support in the golf programs than we do in Jamaica. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's always tough for little islands like ours. But, you know, the guys still have been practicing hard, playing a lot of the different courses in Jamaica. Melissa, of course, was a big setback for them because a lot of the golf courses on the north coast were closed. But I know that they're focused and I know that they're going to give their best.
Jody Munborough. Now to football, as Tivoli Gardens are into the top 6 of the Rare Never Jamaica Premier League for the first time this season. They beat cellar dwellers Spanish Town Police 1-0 at the Dunby Holding Field on Monday. The winner came from a Lamar Davis own goal in the 91st minute. Tivoli now have 22 points, 3 clear of 7th place Chapelton Maroons. Spanish Town Police are rooted firmly at the foot of the table with 8 points. The round will climax with Onyx Gardens facing Harbourview at the Tony Spalding Complex starting at 7:30 p.m. Liverpool are through to the 4th round of the FA Cup with a 4-1 win over League One Barnsley at Anfield on Monday. Hungarian star Dominik Szoboszlai opened the scoring in the 9th minute with a superb long-range strike before Jeremy Frimpong added the second. But goal scorer Szoboszlai gifted Barnsley a way back into the contest in bizarre fashion when he missed the ball with an attempted back heel inside his own box, allowing Adam Phillip to fire in from close range. It took until the 84th minute for Liverpool to regain a 2-goal lead when Florian Wirtz fired in before substitute Hugo Ekitike marked his return from injury with a goal to make it 4-1.
That's more like it. That is the Florian Wirtz that was advertised on his arrival from Germany. And here is Wirtz. Chance for four. Accepted with alacrity by Hugo Ekitike.
The Reds take on fellow Premier League side Brighton in the next round. Former Manchester United and England defender Rio Ferdinand explained that for the future hosting of the African Cup of Nations tournament, leagues around the world should be paused similarly to when the European Championships are being held. Ferdinand voiced that a certain level of respect should be given to African football as top teams around the world usually suffer from the absence of their top African players during this time.
African players are so prominent now. There's so many more African players playing on the big stage, on the biggest stage in the Premier League, in other European leagues and Champions League. So when them players are leaving, it's diluting the quality of the Premier League and La Liga and all the other leagues that we're talking about. So there's got to be a push for this tournament to be put in around the same times as the other tournaments that are going on. The Euros, do you know what I mean? The Copa America. Why are they played in the times when everyone's off? But the African version isn't.
The semi-final phase of the ongoing AFCON will take center stage on Wednesday when Senegal clash with Egypt in the early fixture, which will be followed by Nigeria against Morocco. Now to horse racing. As after securing back-to-back jockey championships at Jamaica's Mecca of horse racing, Cayman Spark, Sneaky Fox Radish Roman will be taking aim at securing a hat-trick of titles. In the 2024 season, Roman rode 133 winners and followed up that performance with winning 129 last season. According to Roman, the second title was easier in comparison to the first.
was a free-flowing championship. So I did not really have any challenge this year, so I just continue to just put in the work and just get the job done. Well, yes, throughout the season, I think I have a very good season. And I was on top of the game throughout from the second quarter to the last quarter, which is from March to December. Well, yes, but it's like that sometimes because it's horse racing and no one know what will happen out there before the race. So I did hoping to win in the Triple Crown, which I only win one leg and then.
The last jockey to win a hat-trick of titles at Caymanas Park was Dane Nelson when he achieved the feat in the 2012, 2013 and 2014 season. Roman shared that while he has sights set on that hallmark, he'll continue to put in the necessary work.
Well, I'm just continuing to put in the hard work and hoping for the best, keep injury-free and hoping for the good rides and put them away as usual. So I just try to keep focus and keep my fitness level right there. So when I get the good mounts, if I get 10 good rides, I can put all the 10 of ride 5 and then tired on the next 5 and giving away like 3 out the next 5 and win. Well, it's really not a hard task. All you have to do is come delicate yourself, come work into the morning time, train into the evening time and have a good diet.
Radish Roman, I'm Alric Swaby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? GeoLand Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. GeoLand Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
Against all odds, coming soon to Nationwide 90 FM. Join us as we relive compelling sports stories about the agony of defeat.
I don't blame anyone. As I said, I'm the captain of the Australian team. It's on my watch and I take responsibility.
The jubilation of success.
I've dedicated all my life to being the best and to being the best track and field person I can possibly be. Trying to be a legend, trying to be the greatest, trying to be unstoppable.
And the roller coaster ride that sports carries.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Against all odds. Coming soon to Nationwide 90 FM.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis,
Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Informative, educational, insightful. Let's talk justice. Tackling topics like constitutional rights and reform, domestic violence, and rights issues that affect you. Let's talk justice every Mondays from 1 to 2 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Call in, share your thoughts, be empowered, know your rights, and let's talk justice, ensuring access to justice for all, courtesy of Jamaicans for Justice.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special one to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we ask you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. Let's talk about it. Orthopedic surgeon at St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital, Dr. Kerry Fletcher, says the wearing of safety gear by motorcyclists in Jamaica should be made compulsory. This as advocates continue to raise concern about the number of road crashes across the island.
Should the authorities move to make those things mandatory?
So that is something that I have recommended. However, I've gotten some pushback in terms of practicality, but I know that when it comes to backlash from voters, for example, that's always a concern from lawmakers, but I can only recommend what is ideal.
Indeed, that is Dr. Kerry Fletcher. He's an orthopedic surgeon at St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital. Now, his recommendation comes as the country has been experiencing a whole lot of road fatalities. Data shared by the Island Traffic Authority shows that 374 people died in 325 fatal crashes in 2025. Of the 374, 111 were motorcyclists. And according to the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, 11 people died in road crashes up to January 11 this year. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, should the government mandate the use of arm and leg guards by motorcyclists? Let me see if I can get through the comments on our Facebook platform, where Donald O'Mealy is saying, so where exactly would the feet guard be placed for the feet? I mean, the leg guards, it's not feet guard, it's leg guards. Likewise, the arm guard for the arm. Help me to understand this. Well, you can Google. Michelle Bernard says, yes, one worthy life saved is worth it, both motorist and cyclist. Audley Phillips says, not necessarily. Passengers just need to be more aggressive and assertive in ensuring that drivers do not speed with them. Okay, I guess that's in reference to motor vehicles rather than motorcyclists. Let me see. One person, life should be their responsibility to guard. If sick, don't care why should doctor worry themselves. Okay, if sick, don't care why should doctor worry themselves. But as government, always make every effort to secure your people. It's your job. George Elliott says, for motorists, no. Motorcyclists, yes. I believe that it's a good thing, especially for the motorcycle riders and the pillions. Winston is saying, just another reason for revenue. Imagine this, meatballs and helmets saves lives most times on impact, and some choose not to wear them. So this is just another revenue idea. That's just my point of view. Natalie Winter says individuals should take safety seriously and no government or opposition can mandate that. According to King Shango, there is no cure for stupidity. And I want to share this with you. Earlier, it was this morning that I was on my way to work, and me see a bike man, a wheelie, and I do all sort of manner evil pan the road. My grandmother say all sort of manner evil them I do pan the road. And I was talking and I was saying to myself that look at that. Motorcyclists account for majority of the road deaths we've seen across our nation's roads. He didn't have on a helmet. Him never have on no helmet none at all. Him not have on no knee guard, no arm guard, no kind of guard any at all. And he's a little, I don't want to say fat. He's not a slim person, right? And the man I do all sort of things. You know what I did? I closed my eyes because I didn't want to witness any at all. I didn't want to witness the fall. And when I was talking about it, the taxi driver is going to turn to me and say, oh, him? A long time him a ride bike, man. But at the end of the day, yes, a long time you a ride bike, you don't have on a helmet and you do all sort of things. I refuse to understand how these motorcyclists don't see the danger in what it is that they're doing. And I like say, you're driving a car that has 4 wheels. You're driving a bike. It has 2. More chances, more risk. No, they don't see it that way. Anyways, to the question, let me see if I can get some more of the comments on our social media platform. Should the government mandate the use of arm and leg guards by motorcyclists? And even so, when and if it's mandated, it needs to be enforced because the helmets also need to be enforced. And this is in my humble view. Let's go to the comments on Instagram. D. Bartley is saying yes. Also, yes, coming from Rose Clooney. Marshall says yes. So too, Showa Chuck. Willie Ryan Wilson. Let's hear what he has to say. He says yes, and that's because if they are made from impact-resistant materials, they could mitigate these by absorbing shocks and preventing road crash, fractures, and severe lacerations. Jordan Crosskill says it probably wouldn't hurt to do so. It probably wouldn't hurt if the government mandated the use of arm and leg guards by motorcyclists. Let me see. Siobhan Anderson is saying, one might ask, why is that a concern of the government? However, when we consider that trauma to the limbs is often life-threatening, it is fair to say that mandates are absolutely necessary. This is not only for the sake of the injured individual, we must also consider the limited resources required to treat them. In a nutshell, Siobhan is saying yes. Arm and leg guards should be mandated for motorcyclists. And like I say, mandate is another. Enforcement is, on the other hand, is also another. Let me see if I can get to the comments on our YouTube platform. Enos Barnes is saying yes, please. Brick Road saying that the traffic police are inept. The new Road Traffic Act is not being enforced. Why pay these Peace-Step police? Wow. Maureen McKenzie says, yes, it should. Bogues merchandise. It concerned the government because it's about hospital having to take up for the, hospitals having to treat them. I Am Winning Right Now is saying the way them ride hard, only God can protect them. Listen. These motorcyclists and the pillions don't have on no helmet. I don't know, man. W.C. Howell is saying require the bike shop owners to sell a helmet with every bicycle and motorbike. Yeah. Clive Smith is saying he doesn't agree because it's not the one who is not geared up is the one who is going to die. I totally agree with you because you might be the reckless, the careless driver, and it's not you. It's the one that you collide into. Let me see if I can get in a few more. You can't fix stupid. That's coming from David Nebar. You can't fix stupid. Casey, I don't understand why we should force another to protect his own life. But in doing so, in a Casey, you protect others because, as someone rightfully said earlier, it's not the people them who careless and reckless, you know. Yeah? It's the people who are taking their time on the roads and being very responsible. Let me see if I can get in a few more of the comments. Yes, it should be enforced, says user TW. Police are not infinite. What is wrong with people? My granny say, if sick don't care, oh doctor for care. These are some of the comments coming in discipline. Yeah, Donna Llewellyn says, I've been to funeral where the family blaming the motor vehicle for the crash. Most time it's the motorbikes careless, where the gears enforce the law. And that's, yeah. Linda is saying, sounds like a joke. If mandated, who would monitor it? It's not the police who can't monitor wearing of helmets, which I think is mandated. Yeah. Yet still so many people ride past and, you know, they have on their helmet. They don't have on the helmet. I don't know, man. Some enforcing, possibly. More enforcing is needed in that regard. But motorcyclists, take time, drive on the road. Yeah. Now kill off on yourself. I want to continue wearing those helmets. It can prevent head injury. Yeah. Leg guards. Let me see. Leg guards, arm guards. Do you think the government should mandate? Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. The National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited, NCB, has been named Best Foreign Exchange Bank Award Best Foreign Exchange Bank Award for 2026 by Global Finance. This marks the 8th consecutive win for NCB. In a statement, NCB says the award reinforces its leadership in foreign exchange solutions. Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, is reminding all taxpayers that consumption taxes, including general consumption tax, special consumption tax, telephone calls tax, and guest accommodation room tax, are due and payable on or before Friday, January 30, 2026. This is in keeping with the monthly due date, which falls on the last working day in the month. Now, TAJ says these obligations apply to businesses and individuals required by law to collect and remit consumption taxes on taxable supplies, specified goods, and guest accommodation services. 3 former heads of the U.S. Central Bank on Monday strongly criticized a criminal investigation into Chair Jerome Powell, describing it as a bid to undermine the Federal Reserve's independence. Now, the officials say the probe is how monetary policy is made in emerging markets with weak institutions. The move by the Department of Justice comes after a year of relentless attacks on Powell by U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump says he was unaware of the probe. And finally, the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 63 cents to buy $1, 212 Jamaican dollars and 71 cents to buy £1, and 114 Jamaican dollars and 34 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Good evening.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Commercial space is for you.
parks and attractions for you, housing and residential developments for you, beautiful rental properties for you, improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC is for you. It's Monday. Get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honey Bee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow. Ow.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Against all odds, coming soon to Nationwide 90 FM. Join us as we relive compelling sports stories about the agony of defeat.
I don't blame anyone. As I said, I'm the captain of the Australian team. It's on my watch and I take responsibility.
The jubilation of success.
I've dedicated all my life to being the best and to being the best track and field person I can possibly be. Trying to be a legend, trying to be the greatest, trying to be unstoppable.
And the roller coaster ride that sports carries.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Against all odds. Coming soon to Nationwide 90 FM.
Good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here Nationwide at 5. It's 18 minutes going up to 7. I'm Cliff.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks, and we're turning our attention now to education. Acting Chief Education Officer Terry Ann Thomas Gale says 877 of the country's 1,010 schools reopened last Monday for face-to-face classes. This represents approximately 87% of the national school population.
More than 200 schools were severely damaged during Hurricane Melissa, with the greatest impact in western parishes. In response, the Ministry of Education partnered with UNICEF to establish temporary tent schools and provide learning materials to support the affected students.
Mrs. Thomas Gale says those facilities are fully operational. She notes that there has been a significant increase in the number of secondary schools reopening, particularly in St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth.
We, however, notice that there is a smaller number of schools using the rotation as staggered. We see more schools opting to go face-to-face for the students. We still have some issues in the West as it relates to schools being totally ready. Those that were being used as shelters, we have those that were doing the deep cleaning for the remainder of the week and to ensure that they're all up and running come Monday morning next week.
Terry Ann Thomas Gale, the Acting Chief Education Officer. She joins us now. Good evening, Mrs. Thomas Gale.
Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo, and good evening to your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us. Where are we now in terms of those schools who are using the rotational modality?
I'm pleased to inform you that as of today, we have all schools opening their doors. They're using different modalities. We have, in response to education in emergency, there are several modalities that our schools are engaged in at the moment. So our schools continue to use all modalities if needed.
But all have reopened.
All have reopened. We have 3 unique cases across 3 of our most affected regions. We have in Region 3 Westwood, where we only have their grades 7 to 9 in attendance face-to-face, while the others are in the remote spaces. In Region 4, for example, Greenpond Primary and Infant, we're using the mixed modality there, where our infant department is in face-to-face and the other grades are in the remote space. All students will be in tomorrow for face-to-face. In Region 5, we have Ginger Hill, which is fully remote. The students have been given work to use while they're in their remote spaces. This school will also open for face-to-face as soon as the deep cleaning is completed.
If I could stay with Westwood for a little while, I recall an interview, was it late last year, where the principal was saying to Cliff that the facilities before the hurricane was so aged and so old that it needed to be changed. Do you yet have an idea as to what school will look like going forward? Is it going to have to be a massive rebuild, or is repair possible?
For Westwood, it's a massive rebuild in most cases. We will work with the principal to ensure that the rebuilding does not impact the school attendance. And so for Westwood and other schools of similar cases, we are looking at a total rebuilding where there has been damage.
Are there other schools in a similar situation as Westwood? A total rebuild?
Yes, we have several of those schools. I think the last count was about 11 where we see a total rebuild. And when we say a total rebuild, we're not speaking about all the classes, but probably sections of the classes, either the grade 4 block completely demolished or the grade 7 to 9 block. So there are instances in the school where a block has been demolished, or we will have a total rebuild of a particular area. I'm sure Baxter's Mountain, where it's a total rebuild of a school. There are some schools with a total rebuild. I can't speak specifically to the schools right now.
Yeah. Well, what about St. Elizabeth Technical High School, STETS, in Santa Cruz? How are they?
They are up. I know that a contractor has been assigned and a contractor has been doing work in the area. School is up and running in STETS based on my reports. The reports coming in.
And if we go to southern St. Elizabeth and eastern Westmoreland, how are the schools in that area?
I think it's at this time that I really want to express my appreciation once again to our regional teams, our schools, our teachers, our principals, our board, because if in January, today's January 12th, after being experiencing a Category 5 hurricane, I can report that all my schools are up and running. That's something that we really need to express our appreciation to all hands being involved in this process. The schools in southern St. Elizabeth, they are up and running using the different modalities, be it face-to-face, remote, or virtual spaces where possible. So the schools are up and running. They have their challenges, but our resilience taking precedence in that our people on the ground, the regional team, the principals, the board, and our teachers and parents, and not leaving out our students. They're really resilient and they're pushing forward regardless of their current situation. So all schools are up.
Yeah, amid that resilience, you spoke to challenges. And I've been wondering, Mrs. Thomas Gale, the learning loss, the disruption, have you been able to map out how much of that you think is happening and any corrective measures that the ministry is recommending going forward?
Okay, let me speak at the primary level. From grade 1 that is up to grade 9, so the primary and lower high school. In order to manage the learning loss, we have looked at the national standards curriculum. We have modified where we have selected and identified the essential objectives. What we're saying, these essential objectives are the objectives that the students must attain in order to speak to the achievement of content knowledge. And so we're managing this by the modification of our curriculum. Mm-hmm. What you see, Chris and Ricardo, a school can actually start the term as of January with these objectives because of the extent to which we have limited the number of objectives and at the same time ensuring that the students are not at a loss.
So fair to say then that you're focusing on core?
We're focusing on the core areas, yes, with the schools managing the other areas as based on their unique situation. So we're focusing on the core areas. Yeah. But the modification is done for all subject areas.
Mm. So is it that power, electricity, has returned to all the schools that are now back up?
Again, our resilience, no. We're not fully powered up, but I know that the Jamaica Public Service working assiduously to have this done. So we have our daily check-in with the JPS to see the areas that we need to be powered up. And over time, our schools will receive power, but our principals are working now to ensure that the exam groups receive priority and the other groups get the remote 3 days in, 3 days out.
So some are on generator power?
Some are on generator power.
Mm. If I could just go back to the teaching and the learning, your PEPSTAs and those who are sitting the CSEC exams, we spoke to Dr. Manning of CXC last week, and she was making the point that several adjustments have been made. But in terms of the locally administered PEP exam, any adjustments that you're going to be making to that exam?
Yes, we have presented several options. We have taken it through the rounds of stakeholder engagement. We will see how our grade 6 students sit in the curriculum-based tests for language arts and mathematics, and as well as the ability test. Our grade 5 students will see just the performance task in language arts and mathematics, and our grade 4 students will do the literacy and numeracy exams alone. And that's for 2026.
And that doesn't put them at any disadvantage?
No, because we, as I said earlier, based on the modification to the curriculum objective, once it's implemented with fidelity and the students being placed in the center, when they get the following grades, the curriculum continues. Because the spiral nature of the curriculum, there is a repeat of what is done or what should have been done in the previous grade in the upcoming grade. And we're monitoring it closely. We're now putting in place a training plan so as to help our teachers to understand how it is that the curriculum should be implemented, the modified version that is. We have gone ahead and we have created the learning kits to align perfectly to this modified objective. We have sent out these already to the system. Grade 4 is out. I know grade 4 is out. Grade 5 and 6 should be out by Friday, and the other grades to follow. The learning kits should be used in the remote spaces as well as the face-to-face. And it's very interactive. Each student is given a copy. So the students in regions 3, 4, 5, and region 2, they are given individual copies, and the other students is made available online.
And the monitoring, that's done through your education officers? How are you ensuring that monitoring is done and you're getting appropriate data, proper data?
All right. So we have a school improvement section in the Division of School Services. Their primary role is to ensure that there is data used to drive students' performance and school improvement. Our regional teams, as well as our curriculum teams, they're out monitoring. The ministry also has a program monitoring and evaluation unit. They too are part of the monitoring process. I want to reassure our principals and teachers that the monitoring is not punitive, it's more clinical to ensure that everyone is on the same page. We're implementing as intended. So the monitoring this time is not really to say you're wrong, you're not doing it this way, but really to guide and to give support. We're more being supportive while we transition through this period.
But what if you find that they aren't doing it the appropriate way?
Then we intervene and we show them how it's done. It's clinical, so we'll do a lot more demonstration of how it should be done and to ensure that the teachers learn from the process.
Yeah.
Mrs. Thomas Gale, I'm sorry, but I have to take you back to that part of Westmoreland where Melissa came ashore. New Hope, yes? In that community, White House, Belmont, it did a lot of damage, right? How are those schools? Are they back up and at what capacity?
They are a part of the 1010. Yes, they're up. They might not be in full attendance, full capacity because of the different modality. But remember, being on the physical space doesn't speak to school being reopened. The modalities that we're currently using, even if the child is in a remote space, engaged in learning, that's considered being at school. And I want to encourage our parents that it's safe now. If schools are safe and you can send your children out to school, and we want the community to help us to ensure that our students are in school, and if they're in the remote space, that they are indeed carrying out the activities that have been given to them at school. It's, as I always ask, it's an all of Jamaica effort to get our students back. And so we need a community to play its part to ensure that the students do attend school.
So Petersfield, yes, Petersfield High School, that is also fully up and running. The shelter has been closed, so it's all about schooling again?
It's all about schooling again. I got a report from Petersfield about Petersfield this morning. Yes, it's up and running. The principal there is just beyond creative in how it is that he has been utilizing, and his patience and professionalism in which he carries out his task daily, and I really want to commend him for it. The students are now on the compound. They are separated from the shelteries that are there, and they have different entrance to the dwelling, so they are not interacting at all. And we still have about 45 persons on the premises, but school is up and in session.
Oh, so 45 people are still there. Yeah. Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. But they're not interacting with the students
at all. Right.
Right.
And the tent schools, have you had any challenges with those that have been erected? Has that gone smoothly?
I have not received any complaints, but I'll take it that they have the regional team. If there were challenges, it would have been communicated. So I'm not hearing any challenges, and I'm taking that everything is up and running.
In terms of the students who were doing the, what you call it now, adopt a student, the hosting. Thank you. How many students now are being hosted? I know St. Jago had some Immaculate, Kingston College. How has that been going?
It has been going. Some students have returned to their spaces, but there are still instances where there are no physical homes, and so they're still in the hosting. It's going quite fine. I know that schools had their unique challenges that they have worked out. Again, our principals continue to prove that they are indeed the instructional leaders in the school. They have computer fused and the students into the daily operations. I can't speak definitively to the amount that's still left in the hosting program, but I do know it's happening across all regions.
Oh, it's not just in Kingston and St. Andrew?
No. I have quite a number in Region 2, for example, at all levels. I know students are in hosting there, and students are even being hosted within these 3 parishes that currently were severely damaged.
And Chief Education Officer Thomas Gale, I know CXC is totally the remit of the regional examination body, but you as a Chief Education Officer, are you satisfied with the provisions, the changes that have been put forward by CXC to deal with the CXC exams come the summer?
Yes, I am. Those are actually options presented by Jamaica to CXC. They were presented through consultation with our principals. We also gave each school's situation and analysis to do, where they responded to the status, where they are as it relates to the syllabus coverage, as it relates to SBA, that data was used. The principals were given options where they select which method they would want for their students. We presented it to CXC. We looked at the data coming out of the situational analysis, and CXC presented a counter offer where they accepted our options presented, and I'm very comfortable with it. I can assure you the students will not be at a loss having sit those exams, regardless of the options selected.
What gives you that confidence, ma'am?
Because we went through it with COVID. The option B, for example, where it's multiple choice alone, the entire region did that during COVID. And so I am confident enough to know that going through it and now the students will not be at a loss. Our schools do have the choice. Our schools, that is the schools within the 3 regions, they do have an option to choose either option A, the regular sitting, or option B, which is the multiple choice only.
Just before we let you go, another thing I found interesting from CXC is the intention to have all exams done online in the next, I think they said 3 to 5 years. And I was at pains to point out to Dr. Manning from CXC that for example, and I'm sure it exists in the rest of the region, the digital divide between urban and rural is sometimes so great. The local education ministry here, how are you preparing for that to ensure that students in the rural parts of Jamaica who may not have connectivity in the way their urban counterparts do, that they're not put at a disadvantage?
We continue. We were quite advanced in our preparation for e-testing, but as you said, the infrastructure, it posed a challenge. We now see the tremendous support from Starlink rather, that we can use. We have different ways to enhance connectivity. We have, through our broadband project, been looking on that and to ensure that the systems that are in place can stand up to the volume of work that will be required. So we are currently looking at it. CXC is very in a communication. They communicate well with us, and so it's not a matter of the moving forward and the regions left behind. There are measures in place to ensure that we get on board, and we continue to work with the Caribbean Examination Council to ensure that our students are not left behind.
Acting Chief Education Officer Terry Ann Thomas Gale, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
All right,
You're
have
welcome.
a good one.
And after the break, Iran, is the regime back in control, or is it about to fall?
Cliff Says is by far the most popular mid-morning radio segment in Jamaica. Cliff Hughes shares his views on the hot-button topics of the day, editorializing on various issues in the news, breaking news stories, and expounding on stories. Cliff Says sets the tone of the show for the rest of the day. Join the award-winning journalist Cliff Hughes weekdays during Cliff Hughes Online at 10 to 10:30 a.m. Join the revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide This Morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
5 minutes after 7, and we're going to take you to the Middle East. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
Iran says it's prepared for war, but ready to negotiate with the United States after President Donald Trump said Tehran called to negotiate as his administration weighs possible military intervention during widespread anti-government protests.
According to CNN, Iran's foreign minister has communicated in recent days with Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff. On Sunday, President Trump said the U.S. may meet Iranian officials, and he was in contact with Iran's opposition.
This while piling pressure on its leaders, including threatening possible military action over lethal violence against protesters. More than 500 protesters have been killed and almost 11,000 people have been arrested, according to a U.S.-based rights group, as the demonstrations have entered a third week.
A communications blackout imposed by the Iranian authorities has now lasted for 4 days. According to Iranian state media, Iranian leaders appeared at pro-government rallies on Monday and described the anti-government demonstrations as foreign-backed riots.
The Iranian supreme leader has accused U.S. politicians of deception. More in this report from CBS News.
Demonstrations against Iran's theocracy have not slowed, and President Trump is weighing military action as anti-government protests escalate in the country. More than 500 people have reportedly been killed, with the majority of them demonstrators, according to activists. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams has more from northern Iraq.
The problem for us covering what's happening inside Iran is that, like most other international journalists, we can't get into Iran at the moment to report from the ground. On top of that, Iran's internet was cut off late on Thursday, apparently an attempt by the authorities to prevent protesters from organising and also stop them posting videos online for the outside world to see. Now, despite that, some videos are still being posted online. It seems that some Iranians are using Starlink for internet access. And those videos really tell a story. They show mass protests. They show Iranians calling for an end to the regime, an end to the Islamic Republic. Some of those videos appear to show Iranian security forces opening fire at protests, and some appear to show a large number of body bags. That is apparently protesters that have been killed. One of the human rights monitoring groups that's observing the crisis in Iran says that around 500 protesters have been killed so far. Now, we cannot independently verify that number, but it's crucial because President Trump has repeatedly threatened to hit Iran hard if protesters are killed. Though, of course, we don't know exactly where his red line is, and we also don't know what impact any US intervention would have. A US official told CBS News that President Trump has been briefed on options for military strikes in Iran. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Trump will be briefed on Tuesday by senior officials about possible steps, including not just military strikes, but using cyber weapons against Iran and imposing more sanctions against Iran. A senior Iranian official said that if the US takes military action, then Iran will retaliate. And he said that American shipping and the US military would be legitimate targets. Now, that is highly relevant where we are in Iraq, just across the border from Iran. Here in Iraq, there are US bases, as well as around 2,000 American troops. Holly Williams, CBS News, Erbil, Iraq.
President Trump says he will discuss restoring internet in Iran with billionaire Elon Musk. Authorities in the country have blacked out access for the past 5 days. For more on this, I want to bring in former chief of operations for the CIA Counterterrorism Mission Center, Andrew Boyd. Thank you for being here. I'm talking about another crucial geopolitical event going on in our country just in the new year. You're on board of a company that is an internet intelligence platform. What can you tell us about the details involved in this blackout by the Iranian government?
Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, the leading internet intelligence platform company you're referring to is called Census, and what they're tracking normally, there's about 15 million internet domains online in Iran, and at any given moment, about 500,000 being used actively. Right now, there's only between 1,500 and 4,000 active domains being used, mostly associated with the Iranian government. So although it's not a 100% blackout for all practical purposes, it is a blackout, except for a handful of users in the protester community who are able to use Starlink. So I think it is an outstanding move that Starlink is being deployed to Iran so that information can get out. Because not only can CBS correspondents not get into Iran, information is not really getting out except in a trickle.
And last night on Air Force One, President Trump had this to say about where things stand.
Iran called to negotiate. Yesterday. The leaders of Iran called, they want to negotiate. I think they're tired of being beat up by the United States. A meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
We may have to act before the meeting. What will the U.S. take into account when deciding whether to act? And if the U.S. does act, what does that look like and what impact could it have?
I mean, in the region, it really depends on how the Iranians react to any military action from the United States, because it could result, if they attack U.S. forces in the region or they attack Israel, it could result in a repeat of the 12-day war in 2025. If strikes are limited to the units of the Iranian government that are attacking the protesters, perhaps they'd have the Iranian government would have a more muted reaction. But at the end of the day, the Supreme Leader's office is responsible for the crackdowns and the murder of the protesters, and that's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. And so all responsibilities lead back to him. And if military attacks happen against the Supreme Leader's office, all bets are off. But at the end of the day, without eliminating that clerical leadership element, I think the Iranian government will continue to gun down protesters as long as there's protests ongoing.
All right, Andrew Boyd, thank you.
That report from CBS News in the United States. And we have seen this played out before, yes. It was in 2023, but it was a women's rights protest that fizzled after the authorities cracked down. And you just don't know, because the information is sparse. You don't know what is the extent of the public outrage. There are reports that say all 31 provinces are out on the streets now. Yeah, but to what extent, we just don't know. Yeah, and the unknown thing as well, what will Mr. Trump do? Yeah, and if he does anything, what? And will that work to the benefit of the protesters or not?
Or simply complicate the problem and further destabilize the region.
Yeah.
Because he has to be careful that this is not Venezuela.
No.
It will not be as simple as it
No.
was to go in under the cover of darkness.
Yeah.
And take out the regime.
Well, you know, Ricardo, it's amazing to be alive to see this. Because I recall in 1979, yeah, just about getting ready to leave high school.
Mhm.
And I was into current affairs. And to watch how that revolution brought down the Shah and the supreme leader at the time, Khomeini,
Mhm.
was based in Paris, in France. And it was the era of cassettes.
Yes.
That was a mode of communication.
Yes.
Where he would record messages on cassettes and smuggle them into Iran, yeah, and get the message out.
Mhm.
And the Shah had to flee, yeah, and to see what, 46 years later?
Such a grave threat.
Yes,
You've come full circle.
full circle.
Yeah.
Well, wherever people are repressed, people want freedom. It's an instinct.
Yeah.
You can't repress people's freedom for too long.
The question now is whose definition of freedom?
And when people speak of freedom, they talk about the right to agree and to disagree.
Yeah.
The right to express themselves. The right to choose.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, but I think a lot of times when we in the West talk about freedom and we seek to impose the ideal of freedom, it misses a lot of cultural nuances
Mhm.
that distinguish that part of the world.
Mhm.
And I think that's oftentimes why the interventions end badly.
Yeah, yeah. Because we want sameness.
Precisely.
And you don't have sameness in
Precisely.
certain cultural
Absolutely.
centers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know that people like Donald Trump and his administration are aware, because they don't seem to regard or study or recognize history and the lessons that it teaches.
Well, Mr.
And that
Trump-
will be a downfall. I
Mr.
think.
Trump is not familiar with history. Yeah? Global history, he's not familiar with that at all.
But isn't that just the amazing thing about this? Because there are people in the administration who you would think would have an appreciation. They're Yale educated
Yes.
attorneys, J.D. Vance.
But they're neutered. They're deballed. Yes? Now, the latest in America today, the DOJ, Department of Justice prosecution of the federal
Very,
chair.
very dangerous development.
Exactly. And what do you have? There's a report out tonight that there's a division in the White House where some people are saying, listen, don't, you're going too far. Yes, a number of Republican senators, yeah, are saying, listen, you're going too far. Yeah, but that is what happens when you have a strong man who a wannabe dictator who feels his oats now. And he told the New York Times last week that the only thing that can really check him is his own morality and his mind. That is dangerous. But within that are the seeds of his own destruction.
My fear is seeds of his own destruction.
Yeah.
And I fear he will bring a republic down with him. And that is my fear.
And the American people will have to live with that. They voted for
As will much of the world.
Yeah.
As will much of the world.
Yeah, but we'll have to go through that process. Yeah? Because his political reign has, what, at most 3 years? Could be more. If, as Bruce Golding wrote last week, he's able to embed an ideology, a thinking that says, listen, it's one man rule.
Yeah.
Yeah? We don't know.
18 minutes after 7, we're going to take the break, and it will be time for you to have your say. You know the numbers well. 876-630-9371 to 4. 876-618-6730.
For a limited time, Home International Limited is offering a special price on select Corian colors. You can't miss this. Choose Corian for your kitchen or bathroom countertops. Corian is durable, beautiful, and long-lasting, solid right through, and no sealing necessary. Visit us at 104 Constant Spring Road or telephone 876-755-1970 or 276-6448. Open Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Minutes after 7, we're taking your calls. This is Nationwide at 5. Papa Nana is up first. Good evening, Papa Nana.
Good evening, Mr. Hughes. How you do?
He has stepped out. This is Ricardo.
Okay, Ricardo, how you do?
I'm all right.
Yes, man, I'm glad. I want to find out, before I'm begging you, please to allow me to send happy birthday greetings to one of Nationwide's biggest fan in Portmore, Mr. Bell. Please, if I could go ahead.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Bell from Portmore, one of Nationwide big time listener. It's his birthday today, and I would like you to help me to big him up.
All right. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Bell. Hope you had a great day and you have an even better night.
Thank you. And the next person who I would like to big up is Miss Patterson, that is Chopper mother. I just want to big her up. It's not her birthday, but I just want to big her up. You're a big listener of Nationwide too.
Big up yourself, Miss Patterson. Big up yourself 1 time, 2 time, 3 time from Papa Nana.
Good. Listen to me now. I want to ask you something. I don't know how you could help me work it out. Somebody is charged for committing a crime by the gun. Even kill somebody or so.
Yes.
And they have asked him to turn in himself, and him turn in himself without the gun. How that go?
What do you mean, how it go? What do you mean?
Then, he committed a crime with a gun, and he is able to turn in himself without the gun.
Well, has it been established in the court that he committed the crime?
Right.
Yes.
Or that's the allegation.
Right. Remember,
that's a charge.
A charge is an allegation that has to be proven. So until he is found guilty in a court of law, then it is not factually established that he didn't, in fact, commit the crime.
So let me ask you something then. All right. They still doesn't find the gun. So how could you find him guilty of the gun charge?
Because you might have had an eyewitness. You might have had bullet fragments that prove that somebody was killed. Yeah, evidence. You have all the evidence. You don't even have to have the gun.
Gunpowder residue on his hand.
Right. There are many ways to prove that.
Okay. All right.
And remember, Papa Nana is beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
So you don't have to lock down every single aspect of it. It's just they have to convince a jury or a judge that, this is likely to happen.
And one last thing, to be honest with you, I know I'm good at run if you say it too, but I think the Chief Justice have a chip on his shoulder. Good night.
So you don't want to engage on that?
Yes, I think he had a chip on his shoulder. His behavior sometimes is questionable, to be honest with you.
What did he do?
No, because I overheard this evening that he could have used his discretion to use the journalist.
But to be fair to him, it's not just him. All the judges of the Supreme Court, certainly as long as I can recall, they have not exercised that discretion. They've simply defaulted to barring the media.
Can't manage you no better. Me I tell you, but me feel him have a chip on his shoulder, to be honest.
What do you mean by a chip on his shoulder? What that mean?
Yes, he's carrying a chip on his shoulder a long time, Mr. Hughes, from the time when Mr. Wallis put him under probation.
But this not have no how you bola. How you reach this? Because this not have nothing to do with the JLP.
I never say have anything to do with this, but me I tell you, he's carrying a chip on his shoulder for a long time.
All right, Papa Dada.
Yes, sir, that's a Philly Hughes for a very, very long time. And me I tell you, Mr. Hughes, we want you to see if you can help out a situation with Spanish Town, because some people call me and I tell me to call the old Spanish Town, see a bad.
It's a nasty town. It is a nasty town, and every time I have reason to drive through there, I feel really sad, Papa Nana, because I said this was once a great and historic place in Jamaica, and the way it looks, I agree with you, is an absolute disgrace.
Then Ricardo, you want to tell me before God and man, suppose somebody rat them never gonna St. Elizabeth?
Absolute disgrace, Papa Nana.
Norman Scott. But hold on. Norman Scott has been mayor for some time, and it's his first responsibility, yes, to keep his municipality clean and working. Yeah? But what of the other members of parliament whose constituencies are also parts of Spanish Town? They should all come together and make their voices heard about the performance of the Scott-led St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. It does not work. It's a disgrace.
Place look run down.
They all keep quiet.
Poor.
Yeah, and we're talking about Denise Daly. We're talking about Babsy Grange. We're talking about Wheatley. Yeah, those were the three.
Yeah.
Exactly. None of them, because Mr. Hughes, I tell you the honest truth. God say I know, me not see how you could have survived down at St. Elizabeth with that nastiness when you keep up at
Well, he couldn't. They ejected him before he landed.
Yes.
And that might tell you why he didn't get the promotion to Member of Parliament.
Yes.
It is a disgrace, Mr. Hughes. And
It really is. Every time I drive through there, they're not even trying. And I think about the history. You think about the fact that the Emancipation Proclamation
and
was
square.
It just,
yeah, it has so much to offer.
So much potential. It shouldn't look like that, Papa Nana. You're right. You're absolutely right. I think it's one of the worst town centers in the country, for sure.
Honest to God, I think it is a disgrace to man and
the performance of Mayor Scott and his team over there, absolute disgrace.
It is a disgrace, sir.
They should go, man.
You want to take care of yourselves and God bless you.
All right, Papa Nana. Alric, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Hughes.
Good evening. Good evening.
Cliff, congratulations. Manning Cup Ali Bashir.
Oh, yes,
sir.
Congrats.
Yes, sir.
Congrats. That's
Aggie.
No, well done.
Aggie.
Well done.
Well done, Mr. Hughes. But
hold on. What does the matter mean?
Yet higher.
Yet higher. Okay.
And do it with thy might.
I see. Yes. Yes, Alric.
I know you're walking on a little bit of cloud nine. I just want to congratulate you. Big achievement from your alma mater.
Yes.
Iran and Donald Trump. How thin is Donald going to stretch himself now? Cuba, Greenland, no Iran, possibly Mexico and Colombia.
Yes.
And I heard, Ricardo, you impressed me almost every time you talk from the other day.
Almost?
Almost,
Oh,
not
Lord.
every time. Because you're not as good as Mr. Hughes.
Fair. That's fair.
Does he Trump know anything about any of the culture, any of these countries?
No.
You know, there's a term that people can become intoxicated with power.
Yes, Cliff, it has been floating around for
Yes.
political leaders for years, and that is exactly what is happening to Donald.
Mr. Trump now feels that he is invincible because he has command of the greatest military, on earth. By far, he says, by far the greatest. And they have to
unchecked power. It's not just military power.
Yes.
Unchecked, broad unchecked power.
Courtesy of the Republican-controlled Congress.
And Supreme Court. Remember,
yes.
they gave him immunity, you know.
But I want to ask you guys something. He went into Venezuela and he said they didn't lose one United States soldier's life. If they happen to go into Iran, that won't happen, you know?
Yeah, I suspect it wouldn't be anything near as easy as Venezuela. And that is why I say he clearly isn't a student of history. He doesn't understand these things. Because unless he's going to just exercise raw military bombing, and which would be a disaster, it won't work. It won't be as simple as Venezuela.
That is why I'm saying you are getting almost as good as Cliff, because your line of reasoning is absolutely right. And I'm thinking about he might just run Russia over Cuba, but I'm wondering if Colombia would be a different kettle of fish too.
And when you say run roughshod over Cuba, you might be able to overrun it militarily, but can you govern? Yes? Would he be able to govern? Yeah?
I don't think so, Cliff. The military might and how much lives would have been lost, because the Cubans are prepared now, and I think they will give it a fight.
Remember what led to not what led, but where Castro and Raul and them stayed and waged war against the Batista regime before the 59 revolution?
And then
the hills and mountains of Cuba.
Yes.
Yeah. It can happen again.
I am glad I'm living in this interesting time. It makes interesting reading to follow what is going on every single minute of the day now with this madman that we are trying to run roughshod all over the world.
The Gen Zers say they are tired of living in unprecedented times. They say somebody needs to do something that is precedented. Because they are tired. They're tired of the unprecedented times.
So what we are going to do, Ricardo? What we are going to forget tonight?
Boy, I don't know, Eric, and we're having a conversation in the newsroom.
American people are going to take care of him.
We're having a conversation in the newsroom this morning about how young people are thinking about the future and the high levels of pessimism that are being, reported. Saying that they don't want to have children because what's the point? Why bring them into a world that is so unstable, that is so unsure? And it's probably best to just, live out your life and hope for the best.
So what is going on to the world?
This is it. A high level of uncertainty. And this is why it is so important for stability to be returned. And when people like Bruce Golding talk about, he's fearful for the world he's leaving his grandchildren, and he was hoping to have left it better than he found it, there are genuine fears.
Yeah.
There are genuine fears, Alric.
I have grandkids too, and Mr. You start a record, you don't start
and let me tell you something. That concentrates the mind when you get to our age. Yeah? What kind of world you're going to leave for your grandpicnic? Yeah? It concentrates the mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I will say this, I'll introduce this to the conversation. Alric and Ricardo. The Venezuela raid, I think the Americans got a whole lot of help from the Venezuelan government of Nicolas Maduro to get rid of him. There's no way, that thing could have gone so perfectly without inside help. And I'm talking from the highest levels of the Maduro administration.
Yeah.
They got help.
Could I ever say, Mr. Youth? Could I ever say?
Yes.
There was a $50 million US bounty on his head, right?
Precisely. Who got
So
it?
where was that money? Where did that go? So I believe you 100%.
I think I heard Trump say at a press conference that he didn't have to pay the bounty now because it was settled.
But
hold on. Don't be surprised if you hear him say, he might claim it.
Him again.
Yes, he might claim it because of him get it. Thank you, Alric.
All right, guys. Have a good evening.
All right. Maureen McKenzie says, I was saying the same thing to my children yesterday, Ricardo. By the way, if you're not subscribed, Nationwide 90 FM Live 2, that's the YouTube channel. You can go on over there and be a part of the community and join the conversation. And the weapons, more is coming out about the type of weaponry used, because I was reading a report that said the Venezuelan military said the U.S. set off some kind of sonar or sonic blast, and the way it was described was that it made the very air vibrate and tremble, causing the Venezuelan military to vomit blood and
Totally disorient
them. And of course, the U.S. has all kinds of military weaponry that they have never used, or certainly have never publicly talked about. Yeah. Faithful.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Mr. Brooks.
Good evening.
Ricardo, the way I spell freedom is when you are able to express yourself freely without infringing on an honest man's right. If it is spelled any other way in a different country, I don't know. Can you tell me?
When you can freely express yourself without infringing
an honest man's right.
All right, that's your definition. I don't know if I agree with that.
No, I'm asking, do you have a different definition?
I think freedom is contextual. It's contextual to culture. It's contextual to time, history. I don't think there's any universal definition of freedom.
All right.
It's why I don't agree, for example, with the concept of universal human rights. I don't think rights are universal.
You don't think everyone is born with a certain
because
right?
because rights are conferred by a society, by a people, by a group, by an organization. They're not inalienable. No.
But we society, Mr. Brooks, when you are hungry, when you have the need for food, and you have the need to want to speak freely, which culture we society to prevent that?
Which culture now prevents that? Several.
No, I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing. I should say which country prevent that. I know country prevent that, but how could that prevent that from being a right for an individual?
Yeah, I think you want to ask me, should a state be able to prevent that?
I know some states do that, but
right.
Don't say should that.
So you're saying, okay, so you're saying the prohibition on those things is wrong.
Right.
So you believe the rights are inalienable.
It should be.
That based on your condition of just being a human being alive, that you are entitled to those rights.
As one believe in God, I think that's God.
Well, there you go. Well, then again, and then you know what my next question would be, right? Who's God? Because certainly the Western Christian God may confer onto you different rights than Muhammad or Buddha or who else? Jehovah or yeah.
How do you think the Muslim God view right?
Well, again, no, but let's look at, can carry me too far down this road now, but let's look at one thing. Let's look at gender rights. Certainly in Islam, gender rights are not the same as they are in the Christian world.
But I think that's slightly different in the sense, gender rights and a need, and a need when you're hungry and a need want to speak freely. That's my thinking.
But I don't even know that speaking freely is the same as well, because if you blaspheme against Muhammad, I think in some states you can be executed for that.
Look, when I think I hate more than anything else, when I think that hurt me more than anything else, is when a state can turn its gun on its own people. No, man, to me that is immoral. I remember.
No, it is absolutely.
Yeah, I remember Tiananmen Square. And when I hear what one of the guy in Iran say, he's ashamed to look at his wife and children and can't give them nothing to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they are able to express themselves. And what is the result? You as the state take the gun and turn on your own people to silence them. Is that not even the highest order? And you're going to attempt it because of religion and because of what? No. Because it was on the same basis, you know. It was on the same basis why the mullah that is there. That was on the same basis why they are in power, you know. Because when the Shah was there, the Shah was never used to the people. That one is why they get to that end. That's what brought them into power. And they are in power and they are doing the same thing now. Because when they come in, they were acting for freedom. And the freedom that was acting for now and turn over unto them. Now they turn around and do the same to their own people.
But how many times have we seen that happen? We saw it in Zimbabwe. We saw it in, give me another example, Cliff. It happens all the time where the freedom fighters themselves become the tyrants. And the dictators you're not carrying down that You're not carrying down that road. But no, yes, you're right, faithfully. But it does happen a lot. It happens often. Certainly, it has happened a lot on the African continent.
That is the reason why we should never ever try to give up on that for which we have, where you have the separation of power and between the government and the judiciary. Because in Iran now, the judiciary in Iran, the court in Iran, are siding exactly with anything that the government in Iran says. And because of that,
Iran is a theocracy, right?
Yes. It's not a democracy.
It's not a democracy, right? So you would expect the judiciary to enforce religious doctrines. Remember, it's not a democracy, you know.
But it's not the same thing in Russia and China and places like those.
China doesn't. Well, China is godless. It's a godless state.
To a degree.
Yeah. Well, does China have a judiciary? Does China have a judiciary?
Yes, it does.
Oh. I don't think I've ever heard of a judicial ruling.
In Iran, there's a supreme leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and
all wisdom and decisions flow from him.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
At least in China, you have a strong man.
Right.
But you have a ruling council, yes, and commissions, because of course geography and size of population, But in Iran, one done.
All right, faithful. Thanks for the call. I remember I saw a clip of Siaga. He said, all of a sudden everybody wants to done. Hey, we're going to raise in the organization. There's only one dad. Why rule? And he said they should what? Light a candle.
Sing a Sankey and find your way home. Light a candle. Yeah? Sing a Sankey and find your way home.
And that would have been the period of the gangs. The gangs of...
The Gang of Five and the Pernell Charles beating and the Gang of 11, Gang of Five. That was 1993. 92, 94, 95.
Who beat Pernell Charles?
Oh, you didn't know about that?
No.
Yeah,
Who beat Pernell Charles?
Outside the national arena, the Jamaica Labour Party conference. This was 92, 93, when Pernell was seen as a potential challenger to Edward Siaga, and they were wanting to challenge Siaga. Pernell, Mike Henry, and this was coming off of the JLP government of the 1980s, when Pernell was one of the most popular ministers, and was figuring prominently in the Carl Stone polls. Yes, and Pernell feel him oats and push out him head, and the goons of Tivoli beat him outside the national arena. I was there. And you know who was with Pernell?
Who?
Like a champion?
Who?
Stood up beside him? The Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Rosemary Shaw.
Really?
Yes.
She was a laborer.
Yes. And one of Purnell's chief lieutenants. Yeah.
And then
never
she
forget
defeated
it.
his daughter in last year's election.
Yep.
Boy, if you live long enough, you really do see everything.
You do. I remember when the Seaga goons from Tivoli came down at the National Arena and started to... They came physically with baseball bats, some of them. And there was one there by the name of Blood. Yeah, I remember the name because it's in the book. Blood decided that he was going to marshal the forces and attack the Purnell people, and I was leading a team of journalists at the time. I was at JBC. Yeah, and we were recording it, and then decided to them going after it. And I remember going to a senior police officer at the time, Elridge, Noel Elridge. And he said I'm to meet him around the back of the arena. And I explained to him that we needed help because they were attacking us.
They were attacking the journalists as well.
Of course, they didn't want us to film it. And he rapped me on the shoulder and said, "Young man, discretion is the better part of valor." And turned his back up.
I'm quite right here. Discretion
is the better part of valor.
So nobody with the bravery.
Yeah.
Go sit down.
Go and leave. Leave things and go on.
Discretion is the better part of valor. And you never take that lesson, Noel. Because you carry on all these years still brave, not stop. Discretion. I like that.
Oh?
I do like that. But not coming from a police officer.
Not
obviously.
from in such a situation.
Right.
He was being unprofessional. Yes. Never forget it. Elridge.
So who rescued Purnell?
He left the arena because they couldn't really get inside the arena to challenge Seaga. And they, after a while, there were sporadic confrontations until he didn't have the support on the ground. Yeah? And it petered out.
So Seaga, okay, so obviously he had grown unpopular with a wider voting base, I'm assuming, based on how many elections he lost. Why did the delegate base, though, of the JLP stay so loyal?
The
when
JLP
it was clear
base?
That he wasn't going to win another general election.
Because...
And then you had other people like Bruce Golding, telling me about Purnell Charles. There were other people who could have succeeded him. It wasn't for a want of talent.
Yeah, but you see, the Labour Party, like the People's National Party, is very leader-centric. Yeah? The leader, you don't challenge an incumbent leader. Yes? The leader is the party and the party is the leader. And Seaga had the most powerful political base in the Labour Party.
West Kingston.
And more precisely,
Tivoli.
Yes? And when Tivoli mobilized against you, yeah, and remember, they were fiercely loyal to Seaga. Yeah?
For what he did for that community.
Exactly.
Yes.
So no one could effectively challenge him. Yeah. So before Bruce Golding challenged him, Bruce Golding left to form the NDM in 95. Yeah. And then the party just became electorally unviable. And therefore it lost, 4 consecutive elections? 6 consecutive elections.
Would you say that was his greatest weakness, his hubris?
Yes. A talented politician, a talented policymaker, a talented statesman in terms of managing the policies. But he was he was another dictator. Yes.
And I can see how managerial competence would pale when compared to the soaring rhetoric of a Michael Manley. I listened to, was it 1976 or 74, a conference speech he gave at the National Arena.
Who?
It started, Michael Manley. It apparently was supposed to be at the arena and it had to be moved to the Stadium.
National Stadium.
Was it 94 or 96?
No, it was
or
76.
Right.
We're not for sale.
We are not for sale. And I listened to the entire
speech.
It's
recorded.
Yes, and I thought to myself, okay.
Dizzying heights of rhetoric.
Precisely. I said I can see
yes.
how bright, intelligent people could have been led by this. But when you took it apart, when you got beyond the soaring rhetoric, it really was empty.
Exactly.
It really was empty.
Yeah.
But he was a brilliant orator. And I can see how, if you put those two up against each other, one who was more managerial, monkish, hold his head down and try to accomplish things, versus the vision and the dream that Manley was selling. Yeah, let it go forth. I think there's a line he said, let it go forth from here to the major centers in Miami and Canada, that we are not for sale. And people were singing. Yes, and he said to them, I had a long speech planned for you, but you're in the sun. And I'm going to be short. And then the cheers of the chants of Joshua. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through it, man. 749 books. Who is next? Bobby. Good evening, Bobby.
Yes, good evening, Ricardo, and good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, Bobby.
Cliff.
Yes.
I like how you are teaching the youngster a bit of history.
I don't know about that.
No, yeah, he is.
He's young, man. He's young. I remember says yes to the Ricardo Barnum, man.
I certainly wouldn't have been conscious of politics in the 90s. I try my best now to read up. One of the things I am sad about is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of recorded history. It's a lot of oral history. Not a lot of it is recorded. I can't find a lot of. I mean, My Life and Leadership by Edward Seaga has been helpful.
Yeah,
I've read Patterson's account, but I don't think it went deep enough. It was sort of very surface. My Political Journey, I think is the name of the book.
It's really a collection of speeches.
No, man, he tells a story, but I don't think he's as candid. Certainly not as Seaga was. The Manley Memoirs I found pretty good by Beverly Manley. Yes, I found that good. But I want more people to write, for sure.
Well, Ricardo, there is a lot of recording, man. Just go in the archives, but I can tell you, it is a lot of reading, because I even.
The Gleaner archives. Yeah, I've looked at the Gleaner archives. I mean, for example, I was surprised at how vociferous the columnists from the 1980s, certainly in the 1980s, 79, 80, who wrote in the Gleaner.
From the mid-70s.
I was surprised because
the Gleaner started to assemble what I consider the greatest set of newspaper columnists Jamaica has seen.
A lot of that seemed to me to border on sedition.
The writing?
The writing. It bordered on sedition. I remember there was it Mutty? I read one of his
Mutty Perkins.
There's something happened in St. Elizabeth. I can't recall the exact district now, but I think 2 children were killed.
Top Hill.
Manley had gone there, and something happened, and this is what I gather from Mutty's article. And he basically told the Jamaican people in that article that Michael Manley was insane. Like actually mad, and that they shouldn't vote for him because this is a madman.
Yeah,
I thought that's extraordinary. I can't imagine somebody writing something like that.
Well, Google next time. Google.
Dawn
Rich was also part of that. But Google Snoopy Go Home.
Oh, okay.
Snoopy Go Home by John Hearn.
I look at that one.
Yes, that went to the courts.
Yes,
where he called Michael Manley a dog.
Oh, did Manley win?
Yes,
I think
Manley
I vaguely remember reading about it.
Yes.
Anyway, Bobby.
Yes, you see, what I want to say is that I have to follow my Prime Minister and tread the waters carefully, because I don't want America to really close us off. But the only thing that I have to say is that what is going on now, especially over in Iran, Venezuela, and those places concerning the United States, we have to pray that peace prevail. Right? And the final thing that I want to really talk about, I heard Fitzjackson, the opposition spokesman on national security, this morning on the 7 o'clock news,
yes,
when he was lamenting on the body-worn cameras.
He had been on with us on Friday, yes.
Yes, but here my thing now on the matter. Procurement is a thing that really take long, right? And I know people concerned about the police shooting since the start of the year. But you see, criminals have to understand one thing: behave yourself when the police confront you, right? And I just want to say to Mr. Fitzjackson, look here. You were a part of government a long time ago, and you know procurement take place, right? So don't bother, you use the politics in these things, because I know the wellness administration, right, that Dr. Horace Chang is a part of, they are working assiduously to try and get the body-worn cameras.
But you heard the news today, right? That they now have 1,000 in hand?
Right, yes, I think I heard it.
Yes, they now have 1,000.
Right, so...
and they need 8,000.
Right, yes. So sooner and later, everything will be here, Mr. Jackson, right? So the police will be equipped before the end of the year.
Well, I don't know about that, but all right. All right, Bobby.
Okay, then here?
Yeah, man.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, man, cool.
Who's next?
Michael?
Yeah.
Hey, Michael.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How is the air up there in the Blue Mountains?
Well, it's raining, you know.
Oh, nice. So it's nice and cool.
Yeah, because you sort of get them type of rain, you know, so when you have a wet winter, it's good, you know.
When you going to do what?
When you have a wet winter, it's good for the plants there, you know.
Yes, and I noticed we've been getting quite a bit of rain in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rain hasn't stopped. Yeah.
Why you know, Papa Nana, you know? You know, Papa Nana. You see when I check about, you know, the youth where President Trump took up America as a try. How the case go?
No, he made his first court appearance the other day. So there's no trial yet. So there's no conclusion to it. It's still in custody.
Okay. Well, you see when they have never talk about Dan, you know, one Dan in the place, you know, Donald Trump, you know.
He might have
He certainly believes so.
He might have done.
Yeah, I hear about talk to this a Dan, that a Dan, he was the only Dan, man. I will tell you, the people who know so they do wrongs like within drugs and them things there, you know, and he take them up, you know, because he was the only Dan, man. Yeah, because even in Jamaica, first if you have drugs and things, then take you up, you know. Yeah.
All right, Michael. I also want to correct something. On Friday, Papa Nana, you called and you had asked the question of myself and Tyrone whether there was anybody who the United States had come to Jamaica in the same way that they came for Maduro or went for Maduro in Venezuela. And I told you that I couldn't remember the case, but I did remember Rattray. There was some controversy about Rattray and signing an extradition order and his appointment by P.J. Patterson to the Court of Appeal. It was Richard Storyteller Morrison. Tyrone had offered that name, but I couldn't remember the name. Yes, it was Richard Storyteller Morrison. Carl Rattray was the Attorney General at the time, and he signed the extradition order. Storyteller Morrison went overseas, and apparently what happened then was that it had been done in contravention of Jamaican law.
When you went overseas, well, he was...
the United States.
Yeah.
He was extradited. So it wasn't a matter of the U.S. coming here and forcefully taking him, Papa Nana. It was an extradition,
Right.
But it was found to be not done according to the actual laws of Jamaica. And I think the Patterson administration, based on the interview, because I listened back to the interview, Mutty Perkins and P.J. Patterson, January 1995. And Mr. Patterson's explanation had been that his government was trying to get Storyteller Morrison back to Jamaica, but the U.S.'s position was that, well, he's already here. So tough luck.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, so it wasn't a matter of them coming in here by force, Papa Nana.
No.
It was an extradition. Yeah. All right.
All right. That's where we're going to leave it for this evening. Want to say thanks to our producer, Dana Davey, the members of the news and production team. Thank you all so much. Of course, our technical operator, Andrew Boogs Anderson. And of course, our callers, our YouTubers, our WhatsAppers, and our tweets. I'm Cliff.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.
Good night.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
Taboo topics.
Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between.